Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time again. It's Thursday night, and you are watching the show on sportsnetusa.net. And we're just happy to have this show tonight. Corey Neyland, Mark Pavlovich up in the upper left hand side. This is me, Corey Neyland, and Ed Ford on the ones and twos, making sure we get up and on the air. So, we've been talking to a whole lot of people over the past few weeks during this, well, last few months, I should say, during this COVID situation. And we're excited to have two people on with us who really maybe the backbone of athletic programs, especially at the community college level. The importance of these two individuals cannot be understated. Um, we have athletic trainers for Fullerton College, Juan Cuevas and Lorena Tarnay. Juan, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for
Lorena,
having
how
me.
you doing? All right. And Mark is going to start us off with this show tonight. And a few words that in our research that we've come across, and we've wanted to, do a lot of things with athletic trainers and have a lot of questions. So a couple words that we've come across is trainer, educator, healer, truth sayer, juggler, architects of the athletic health and safety programs, sleuths, problem solvers. All of these go into athletic training. So, Mark, we want to hit all of them. Where do we begin?
Well, first of all, I have a pain in my hand right about here. I have
Not
problems
now.
moving
Not
my.
now, Mark. No.
Okay. All right.
No,
That's it.
no, no.
Now, where I always start, Corey, is because a lot of people don't know the individuals we have on the air. And we have two individuals that, when I was looking at your backgrounds, I felt like you both came into the world of training from different directions. And I'm going to start with Lorena, and then we'll go to Juan when she is done. But tell us how you got here, because I've got a female athlete down below you, Corey, and it seems like Juan was the type of person that just met an older gentleman in Bill Chambers, and that got him there. So Lorena, ex-soccer player that went into training. So let's take your background and go, how did you stumble into the world of athletic training?
All right. All right. Well, first of all, I'm gonna just make sure that every time you guys refer to us, you have to say athletic trainer. That trainer thing, we're gonna cringe every time you say it. So athletic trainer, athletic training. That's the way we're gonna go. How did I get into it? Growing up, my mom was a nurse, and so I kind of really liked the medical field. Uh, Obviously, I don't know about obviously, but I'm an athlete in my heart. So when I put the two things together, I actually wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon coming out of high school. I lived in a really small town called Mount Shasta, California, in way NorCal. So we didn't have athletic trainers back when I was growing up. So I didn't know what an athletic trainer was whatsoever, but I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. So I went to a community college. I'm a community college kid, Santa Rosa Junior College. First day of class, I went to a class called Intro to Sports Medicine, Intro to Athletic Training. It sounded like a good stepping stone to get to orthopedics, right? So I walked in the class, sat down. This guy named Byron Craighead came in. He's the head athletic trainer at the time at Santa Rosa Junior College. And the man had such passion and flair and personality. And he broke down on day one what an athletic trainer was. And I thought he was making up my perfect profession, honestly. So I actually got hooked from a community college, actually almost similar probably to Juan. You meet somebody in athletic training in a community college, and I was hooked from that point forward. Then I had to just wait my 6 years to finish college, my master's and everything before I got there. But I was in. He had me at athletic training. So that's quite my story.
And Juan, when I looked at yours, the one thing I didn't know, and I probably looked at it before, but Corey, I'm sure you saw it. I mean, Juan and Lorena's athletic training is a little different because, I mean, Juan, they bring up you're somebody that studied with Bill Chambers, but yours is a little different from Lorena because you actually interned with a professional football team. So tell us how you ended up going from Bill Chambers to your internship and then back to Fullerton College.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I said, as you said, I had the honor to learn from Bill Chambers. I met him my sophomore year in high school. And, he gave us a speech about athletic training, and from then it kind of got me hooked a little bit. And it wasn't until senior year that I was able to take that internship class for him, or that ROP class, a night class at the high school. And then we would go over to the athletic training room, and he would teach us how to tape and do special tests and different things. So kind of like Lorena, so from day one, it's just, oh my gosh, this is something that I want to do. He talked about that he wanted to be in medicine, but he was not smart enough to be a doctor. He liked physical therapy, but he didn't want to be indoors for 8 to 10 hours a day. And then he said, he was not an athlete, but he liked being around athletes, or he wasn't athletic enough. So all of those kind of spoke to me. And then I was, fortunate enough to be able to intern with him the following year at Fullerton College. And then that kind of took off after that. The internship with the St. Louis Rams was because of the after Bill retired 2 years after I was under his supervision. David Chaffin came on, and he was the athletic trainer at Fullerton College for about 8 years before he left. And then he had prior friendships with the NFL. He was an NFL athletic trainer with the LA Rams. And when they went to St. Louis, they left him behind, and they because they had somebody else lined up or something like that. I don't know the whole story about how all that happened, but he still had some good friendships. And I worked my tail off, and I impressed the right people at the right time. And I put in my application to be an intern. Of course, just like pretty much with any profession, it helps to know certain people, and it helps to impress the right people at the right time. And I was at the right place at the right time when that happened. I was able to go to St. Louis, and for 5.5 weeks, I was in St. Louis with the St. Louis Rams. And then that team that actually won the Super Bowl is the team that I was helping in the summertime. So that summer of '99, Kurt Warner and all those guys, I was able to, be a part of that. So that was definitely special.
Cool. And guys, I want to go back to, before we really get into it with Mark's next question. Lorena, you said athletic trainers, and what is it? Why is it important to say athletic trainers and not just say, well, you guys are trainers? And why is that important?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. Honestly, when you use the word trainer, it's kind of really generic, and I think that most people might refer to you as like a trainer if you worked at 24-hour fitness or LA Fitness or something like that. And although those people are knowledgeable in their craft and everything, they didn't spend 4 years in college taking extensive classes, like having to pass a certification exam. It's almost like a title that I feel is like earned. And then, we always joke with our athletes that, we're not a dog trainer or a dolphin trainer. We don't work at 24-hour fitness. So, just kind of give us the title in which like our education has had us learn. And it also refers to like a healthcare professional, kind of aligns us with the healthcare more than like a gym or a strength coach and so forth. So great question. Thank you.
And I'm gonna follow up on that with what Corey just said, because when I think of an athletic trainer, and I was looking at some of the things about an athletic trainer, I mean, you guys are soothsayers, you're psychologists, you're babysitters, you may be the aunt and the uncle that have to encourage. So when you took, because I mean, really, when I'm reading all this stuff, they said one of the things, and they had it right there besides your knowledge of medicine, they had personality, knowing how to communicate. So tell me some of the things. I mean, besides just being that medical person that you are as an athletic trainer, what are the real stalwarts or the things that I would list to say if I wanted to be an athletic trainer? What do I have to be good at to say this is something I should pursue?
Yeah, I'll start first. I know Lorena has really good answers for that one too. For me, it's you have to be a good people person. You have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to gain trust. And I feel that that's the number one thing for me, is being able to gain trust from my athletes or my coaching staff, especially my coaching staff too. You have to be able to communicate with those guys, because if they don't trust you, they won't send their athletes to you. They'll send them somewhere else, or they'll hide things from you too. So definitely gain that trust is huge. So you have to, relationships. It's all about relationships. I have relationships and friendships from when I first became an athletic trainer at Santa Margarita High School, my first high school gig, and I still I still are friends with some of those kids. So, I mean, they were kids then. Of course, now we're all adults. So they appreciated what I did for them then, and then so we still communicate. So that relationship and that friendship and the trust for me were really big. What do you think, Lorena? What else would
It's
make a
good.
good athletic trainer?
Um, I think first and foremost, these people come to you and at the community college level, at least, possibly haven't had athletic trainers in the past, or if they did, the athletic trainer maybe only covered football and didn't really pay attention. So right off the bat, you kind of building off what Juan said, you have to build a rapport. So you have to be approachable, and you have to have like a personality that really brings forth the fact that you care, because they don't really care what you know until like they know that you care, right? So you have to be approachable. And then for me, I got my master's in sports psychology, so really being able to see past like the body part and see the actual person, talk to them about like how their day was, like how the injuries affecting them, like how everything else is going, because the mental status and the mental side of athletic injury is absolutely untapped to a lot of people, and you really have to pay attention to that, because mental stuff kind of comes out with physical manifestations, so how people are recovering from their injury, or how they respond to their injury, could have a lot to do with how their home life is, how things are going with their personal life, their social support. I know that at the community college level, with the people that we work with, it's just really important, and they kind of get taken aback sometimes with how much they care, how much you care about them, because maybe their parents are a little bit like busy and they have to be the caregivers for their siblings, or they're like a breadwinner and things like that. So to actually show them that you care, and then that what you're talking about, be very knowledgeable. And then I think another thing is you have to be able to like multitask and critically think like on a dime. I don't have time to do these long drawn out like evaluations at times. I need to be able to like look at the room, triage just like any other medical professional, in order to do my job well. So I think kind of building on what Juan said, those are a couple of things that I think are really important and make Juan and I really good at our jobs.
Yeah, and a little
Okay.
piggyback a little bit on what she said about the building that relationship, and how some kids may not be available to their parents or vice versa. When we have a lot of kids, especially on our football team, who are from out of state, we have kids from Washington, from across the country, and so they don't have that support here. So then when they do get hurt, I take it up, I take it seriously. To where I got to make sure that this kid gets taken care of, because there's a mom who's 2,000-3,000 miles away that can't be around, or a dad, or whoever. So I got to make sure that they're taken care of correctly, just like how I would want my kids to be taken care of.
Yeah, and how do you do that, you two? Because at the community college level, the resources are limited. Say, as a Division I school with a lot of cash or a lot of money and a lot of facilities going around, how do you two do the best that you can do with the limited resources that you have?
I mean,
I
we have
mean,
to make it work.
you
So
Yeah, I think listening, picking on the small little things, like, hey, they had like a test, like ask them how their test went, or just like listening to them and asking the questions beyond the injury, beyond the knee, like just like a simple, it's really amazing just for anybody actually, and especially in COVID times, just reaching out and ask somebody, how are you doing today? Like, how is blah blah blah, So just making those small little connections, acknowledging when they walk in the room, acknowledging like, hey, like, okay, like really reflecting that, like when they're talking about being in pain, really focused on them. Maybe I don't have like 5 minutes, but I'm going to make sure that whatever time I have with my student athletes is quality time, that they feel like I'm dialed in. And of course I might be like doing stuff around the room, but it just takes a second to really make that connection, just like the like body language and with your words, making sure that they know that they matter.
yeah, and
And
like you
got
said, when
both
we're
of you. Go ahead, Juan.
yeah, go ahead, Mark. Yeah, so a lot, like I said, when they're when you have kids, for me, I have 150 football players, like you said, with limited resources. A lot of times you have to rely on help, and I welcome the help. I definitely don't shy away from that. So in the athletic training room, a lot of times we have kids who want to learn, and they become our athletic training students. There are some that come from universities, and it's part of part of their grade to come and learn from us. And there's a lot of other kids who just want a taste of it. They take a class and they want to learn and they want to move on. So then, allowing that help in and, getting those kids basically get their hands dirty, for lack of a better term. We get a lot of help from those kids, and not only do we get the help, but they also get the hands-on experience. That goes a long way.
The thing that's interesting, Juan brings up the football, and most people would probably look at the screen right now and say, "Oh, Juan handles the football team, and Lorena probably handles the females and their things." So between the two of you, because we know, Corey and I know, especially because I go out to the practices, how many teams do you handle? And Lorena, I'm going to start this with you, because most people would think, oh, you're an athletic trainer just for the young women. That couldn't be further from the truth at Fullerton College. So how many teams do you both handle as athletic trainers at Fullerton College?
I believe 21 sports. How many sports do we have at Fullerton College? Upwards of 20. Let's just call it that. I think the simple answer when people ask me in the fall, what sports do I cover? I think the simplest answer is everything but football. So my fall is men's and women's soccer, men's and women's water polo, volleyball, women's volleyball, golf, and men's and women's cross country. And then right about October, even probably before that, men's and women's basketball starts coming in, and Juan's able to help with like the men's and women's basketball a little bit. We kind of trade off, but for the most part, our fall, because there's only two of us, and football needs a dedicated athletic trainer there the entire time. Unfortunately, it's Juan with football, and he does his best to help me out and support me 100% anytime he can. But they take up a lot of his time. And once again, like he said, the helping hands that we have in our athletic training room definitely are invaluable, absolutely invaluable. Our kids that come from different universities, and then our community college kids, they really are like the extra hands that we need to get the job done. And then once spring comes along, that like Juan works a lot with baseball. I work a lot with softball. He works a lot with tennis. I work with track and field. Kind of go back and forth on men's volleyball, and then we'll finish out covering the basketballs. Juan covers like swim. I apologize. Am I missing any Juan? With all the sports, it's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So we trade off for sure. Yeah. So she, I take the majority of football. She does cover every once in a while a game. Let's say have a family gathering or something like that. She's nice enough to cover a football game on top of everything else she does during the week. But definitely, football, it's a different monster. You have a lot of guys who bang their heads against each other, and they get hurt. So like she says, have to be out there the entire time. And then we kind of switch roles, like she said, in the spring. I cover more sports in the spring to kind of help offset that a little bit. So her main responsibility would be track and field and softball, and then she helps out with the other ones as well.
And with all those different sports and athletes, what type, or is it each? Do you have different athletic training disciplines that you have to employ for each different sport? Or I've been around some high school athletic programs where the athletic trainers were just there to tape ankles, let's say, and they didn't, go out there. If you can do it, you can. If not, sit down. What type of disciplines, a variety of disciplines, do you use for each sport of athletic training? Meaning, I don't know if I'm asking this question right, but what do you do for each sport that may be different than one than the next?
Yeah. I mean, we treat them. It's pretty much all the same. I mean, it kind of, like you said, it depends on the setting that you work. A lot of times, in certain high schools, they'll hire an athletic trainer just to come in and cover 2 hours a day or something like that. So they're not there full time. So a lot of times they don't get to know the kids. So if it's one of those things that the athletic trainer's not comfortable, they won't let them play or something like that. So it just all depends on the setting. But our education is pretty much all the same. It's curriculum based. It's now moving into a master's. It has moved into a master's degree now. Those are very few bachelor programs in athletic training. But our education teaches us to treat everybody the same. Nothing special or anything like that. We treat all our injuries equally, and we try to make sure that everybody gets back at the normal time that it's supposed to take. the healing process, once it takes its course. So it's just again, it just depends on the setting and how they hired the athletic trainer. A lot of times too, unfortunately in California, there's no licensure for athletic training, so there'll be people who have taken a class and who know how to tape, and they hire them to come in and cover games. And you can imagine how huge liability that is if the kid breaks a leg, or they have a bad concussion, they're unable to diagnose it correctly, or they just send a kid home. I mean, kids can die. So it's irresponsible in a certain to a certain degree, but people still do it.
Okay, and yeah, Mark,
I'm gonna go off of that.
Before you both, okay, I was gonna ask you how do you fix that?
How do you fix what?
Oh, I was going to say, how do you improve on that to get that training, or are there any ideas or programs to improve training at that level?
I was going to say, like, California is actually the only state that doesn't have any regulation or licensure of athletic trainers. There's not even like a title protection. So Mark can call himself an athletic trainer all he wants, and the state of California can recognize him at that because there's actually no title protection whatsoever. So he can diagnose his own wrist problem there if he really wanted to. But we're working on it. We are working with legislators all over the state. We're working with the people in Sacramento, and we are pushing hard because, once again, we are the only state that does not have the licensure. And believe me, we're working on it. But it's more of educating people what athletic trainers do, what actual athletic trainers, the Board of Certification, BOC certified athletic trainers are. Reminding people that our education is at minimum bachelor's, but now moving into like the master's program. So I think education is a lot on how we try to do that. And then back to your original question, Corey, like as far as kind of like the disciplines is, it depends on the setting, but Juan and I really pride ourselves in trying to do a lot of rehab in our athletic training room at the community college. There are some athletic trainers at like high schools that don't have the availability or the time to do that. Obviously, like the D1 programs, they only have the one team and they're able to like sit there and do their rehab. But at community college level, it's hit or miss whether or not there's a lot of rehab being done in the athletic training rooms at times. And I think that Juan and I pride ourselves. We like to get in there. We post videos on the social media as far as like Juan and I will be jumping in and doing an exercise right next to. Juan and I both like to demonstrate it. I do like something called a hip flow that gets athletes like hips all warmed up, and there's definitely like videos of me doing the hip flow right next to like the athletes. So we kind of just like to get into it. So, but as an athletic trainer, I mean, you're evaluating, you're treating, you're rehabbing, and then obviously if it's beyond our scope of practice, we have a great referral sources. We have great team docs. We have great physical therapy clinics that we work with and everything. So anything that we can't get done in our athletic training room, knowing your limits and being able to refer out to that, we're really lucky to have the sources that we do at the community college level. But we definitely, we do love our rehab in our athletic training room.
So when we look at it, as I'm doing a little massage therapy on myself here, because I diagnosed what was wrong with my wrist.
Good.
What limitations do you have? Because you brought it up just there, Lorena. You brought up the fact that there's team doctors and that. So how far do you and Juan take your medical expertise when an athlete gets hurt, and where do you stop it at? I mean, that's got to be a personal decision for both of you. So if you can give me an idea of what you feel your limitations are as an athletic trainer, it would be real interesting for the parents out there wondering when their kids get hurt.
Yeah, at least for me, it's experience, right? So that what I've been doing for so long, along with, of course, the education that we have, we know our scope of practice. We know how far we can go, and we're not doing medical procedures. We're not injecting. We're not suturing anything as well. But definitely, it's knowing when to refer is definitely an important skill to have. Definitely, I take it. I don't take it to heart when someone says, I need to go see a doctor. I say, okay, let me evaluate you, and if I agree with you, I'll send you over. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. But like you said, it's building that relationship with your athletes, and of course having that really close relationship with your team docs, and knowing where to send them. You can't send a broken bone to a general practitioner. You have to make sure you send them to the orthopedic surgeon, and having the streamline to your medical professionals is is important. So basically, just the education that you get during school, and of course your experience. The more experience you get, the less likely you're not going to make a mistake.
Yeah, I think the only other thing I have to add is Juan and I always joke that our X-ray vision is broken, so we're gonna have to send you to a doctor if we think that you need some kind of imaging, or if it's a surgical thing, or even some of the rehabs if it's a complex rehab. We know we don't have like the time, the resources, or the knowledge to be able to be that person. And then to kind of take it to another level, as far as like the mental health too. Like we're the first contacts for a lot of these athletes. Juan and I are really good at addressing the mental health of our athletes, but also knowing where we are in the hierarchy of it, being able to refer over for those mental health issues that are very, very prevalent in community college, in any setting. I'm not even going to say just in community college, but we have seen our share of it, and being able to know where to refer them doesn't just stop at like the physical, it's also like the mental too. And we have a great health services that helps us out with that. So
I have a real quick just follow up to that because I found it interesting, Juan, where you said you don't suture, you don't do this. But I've got to really believe, because if there's let's say if there's a situation, there is no team doctor. I know, like, if we're out at a soccer game, Lorena has been out there. I'm not sure if there's a team doctor out there. If something happens to a student, I have to believe both of you are capable and know how to do certain things. It's just that you're smart enough to restrain yourself from overgoing the limit. Is that where we stand here with athletic trainers? The most of you know, but you know that you shouldn't go any further? Either one
yeah,
of
I
you
mean,
on that
when
one.
it comes to suturing, I can tell you that I can steri strip really well. Like I can, we have these steri strips, kind of like the little glue strips, and I can approximate that wound, and I can make that look good, to the point that like they're going to be in good condition when they get to wherever they need to go, to have that. So I mean, we do have like the skills to kind of put them back together at some point, but also the knowledge to not go beyond what our scope is. Not really trying to like reset any bones or anything like that. We're gonna send them off if they truly need the advanced medical care, and we'll be able to keep them safe until they can get there.
And actually our education is going forward with this too. Actually, as you go into the master's program, right now they are teaching how to suture. They're teaching how to put certain joints back into place. There are certain joints that we don't touch, and they're learning how to do that as well. And also, drawing blood, or in putting an IV line in someone too. So our education, or our scope of practice is growing. So it is getting to that point to where we might be able to do that here pretty soon. But again, in California, there's no licensure, so it makes it a little bit different.
Okay.
Okay, and don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the show on sportsnetusa.net. Co-head athletic trainers at Fullerton College, Lorena Tarnay, Juan Cuevas, and we're just happy for you guys to join us. And don't forget, also on sportsnetusa.net, we are international. Go ahead and watch the past episodes with Jason Perez talking about football in Scotland. So those are interesting and fun shows as well. So we've talked a little bit about your background, guy. COVID situation is the number one thing right now in America. What steps is Fullerton College, and how are you at the forefront in making that a safe place for student athletes to come back to?
Well, right off the bat, back, we got all closed down mid March. Starting in April, the athletic trainers all across the state of California, we got together, and I was lucky enough to be part of a work group about 40 plus athletic trainers across the state of California to try to navigate this whole thing. So it's been almost since this COVID has hit and shut everybody down. The athletic trainers of California have been trying to work on how are we going to get athletes back safely. And obviously, throughout this whole entire thing, trying to predict the trajectory of this whole pandemic has been worse than any kind of Vegas odds or anything that you can get. over there. So no one's been able to predict it. And it's I think going back to an earlier question, what makes a good athletic trainer? Adaptability. And this is really, really stressing our adaptability. Being able to take a situation and navigate your way through it has been hard. So, I think when it started in April, we were trying to look at, okay, like, can our summer classes go or can they not go? How do we get people back safely during the summer? And then all of a sudden, hey, summer classes can't come back. How about like fall? Let's look at fall, And our Triple C2A, they've been working on it also, but they're looking big picture. We were looking from a healthcare provider's standpoint. So, as it went on, it's like, okay, like in the fall, didn't look like we can come back to compete. We were lucky enough on our campus that we put together some protocols that allowed some of our student athletes, some of our teams to come back onto campus and pretty much do what basically conditioning sessions, not really sharing equipment, social distancing, masking. We were able to do like temperature checks and symptom checklists during the fall for a couple weeks. I think it was October through the end of November, just maybe like 5 or 6 weeks we were able to do that. But really with how it's been in the community, this pandemic in the community, it's made it really hard, especially seeing that these professional teams that have all of the resources and anything that at their fingertips, and they're failing at it. Like, not 100%, like fingers crossed we should have like a Super Bowl. I wasn't sure if we'd be able to get to a Super Bowl, but we've had the NHL, we've had the Stanley Cup. They've been able to do it. They've been able to do things in bubbles, but that is so far from the resources and what we can do at the community college level. It's just a lot of adaptability throughout this whole entire thing. And now we're just, we're trying to implement testing protocols so that our student athletes are getting COVID tested. The minute they come back onto campus, it's designated that they will be COVID tested, depending on their transmission risks, high, low, like our higher sports like football, basketball, soccer, water polo, all the way down to like our intermediate, which is like baseball, softball, tennis, and then the low risk is cross country, golf. I know I forgot a couple sports, but those are some examples. So based upon their transmission risk, they have different testing protocols. And then just within that, we have to sanitize things, different protocols as far as what the athletic training room is going to look like. We're not going to have an athletic training room full of people. It's going to be very much, a couple athletes per athletic trainer. We're going to be in different athletic training rooms. So there's a beautiful 40-page document that describes what needs to be done of policies and procedures on our campus. But we're trying our best because we understand, once again, I keep harping on it, the mental health of athletes is very important to us. And we know that they're struggling being away from us, being away from their teammates, their coaches, not having that outlet. And I think it's made it abundantly clear too, because in this last like 9 to 10 months, we've gone through social injustice and political, all of this. I'm going to keep my language, just political stuff. There's been a lot tacked on top. There's been a lot tacked on top of a pandemic, for everybody. So we're just trying our best. I think I kind of went a little long-winded on that, but it's basically what's been going on. I don't even remember that the first the part of the question I was trying to answer. Sorry.
That's okay. You answered.
Hey, Corey.
Okay.
Corey,
Good.
Since Lorena brought it up about the Super Bowl, you do know that last year when Kansas City and the San Francisco 49ers played each other, there were 3 female athletic trainers, 2 for San Francisco. One was classified as co-head, and the co-head trainer for Kansas City. First time in the history of NFL football, last year at the Super Bowl, 3 females who were classified as athletic trainers. And since Lorena brought up the Super Bowl, I figured I might as well throw that out there because we're always looking for equality across the board. Last year was a historic day for athletic trainers across the nation.
Yeah, and now we have the first female ref. We
You know,
have our
us
first
three,
female
us
rep
trainers
that
stick
is
together.
athletic trainers. Mark, come on. Yes,
Athletic trainer.
we are going to
I'm
stick
just a
together.
trainer.
I mean,
trainers.
yeah, you are just a trainer probably. But yeah, so hopefully that answered Corey. I've been really involved in it. Juan has done a great job of supporting me, but he's let me kind of take the reins on doing all of this. And without my job, I think I also just needed a tie to the profession that I love and everything. So I've been super involved, and we have a great administration. I just have to say that that has allowed us to like be the healthcare providers and give our opinions, and our administrators from our dean, athletic directors, all the way up to the VPs and president at Fullerton College. I believe we're doing it right at Fullerton College, and they have given us the support that we are going to be able to do it the right way. And I can't say enough how grateful I am and blessed that is the environment that Juan and I get to work at. So.
You know, both of you went to Cal States. Juan Cuevas, Cal State University, Fullerton. Lorena, on the other hand, went to a better school to get her master's degree, Cal State University, Long Beach, on there. But I really do want to bring it up. And then Coach Smith, who used to be at Fullerton College, Kim, his wife, used to be an athletic trainer at Chapman University. That's actually where Jason and Kim met each other. So I know a few athletic trainers there. So I've got to ask you too, because let's say there's a young person out there with a dream that would like to follow in both your footsteps. Is there that solid groundwork? You both went to do different Cal States that are excellent schools. Is there really that schools out there that are really pursuing that world of athletic training that a young person like myself could go back to college and just walk in and find what I need?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of programs, accredited programs all over the country. Cal State Fullerton, Chapman doesn't have one anymore. They weren't able to keep it. Long Beach has their athletic trainer, CSUN. There's a lot of programs who do. Again, they have moved into a master's program. So a lot of times, if let's say a young person wants to get involved and wants to get experience, either they wait until they get into that program, focus on their education and make sure they get good grades, because they're definitely going to look at that, of course. But at the same time, they can volunteer and do internship work with athletic trainers. There's a lot of schools that do welcome that. Not all schools welcome that, but a lot of schools do welcome that help, and they get their feet wet, their hands dirty, and they learn basically from other athletic trainers. I've been a preceptor since 2006, 2004. I've been a preceptor all that time. So I've been working with students from accredited programs that they send them my way so they can learn from me. And they, that way they can get that experience. So yeah, so definitely there's a lot of places where you can get that experience. We welcome it. Some high schools will welcome that as well. Some, especially the high school athletic trainer, the ones who are certified and are hired the right way, they also welcome that as well. And they'll have programs for high school students to go ahead and get that experience during high school, and then they move on to a community college or university, and eventually get into that program.
Yeah, I think since it's an advanced degree now and we're moving towards the master's, one advice I'd give is just to really, as soon as possible, get around an athletic trainer or multiple athletic trainers and learn what it's like to be an athletic trainer, because there are pros. Like, I love my job. Juan loves his job. There's a pros and cons to the job, though, and really understanding like whether or not you have the personality, the skill set, all of those things, and whether just like it fits in with like your plan. Because you don't want to get to the end of your master's degree and then decide that like, oh wait, this wasn't for me. And that's one of the reasons why we decided, like, as a profession, to move into the master's. It aligns us more with other healthcare professionals, but also allows people to kind of have their undergrad experiences. And then after you're done with undergrad, now you can focus on your actual career of athletic training and really get into it. So we don't just have the people that are trying to use athletic training as a stepping stone necessarily to another profession. It's like, okay, now you've picked your career, because I think when it was undergrad, we had a lot of PT students, some PAs and everything like that. But after you're undergrad, you can figure out and you can go through your master's and get your master's in athletic training and still go, you know what, it's not for me. And then you can go to PA school. You can go be a chiropractor. You can go into like multiple things. But it really helps that you just follow an athletic trainer, get to know what it's like, and I think that's the best word of advice. And we're always open to having people come observe us and everything. So
Okay. And when you talk about the love of your jobs, because we both know you love your jobs, what's some of the best experiences, or one or two of the best, most memorable experiences that you two have had as athletic trainers?
oh, Juan, I can't hear Juan. Can you?
Oh, oh,
There it is. I muted
okay.
myself.
Okay.
For
Ah,
me, definitely, it's always been, getting an athlete back from an injury. Seeing a kid down on his luck, second day of pads, tearing his ACL, and then you have to kind of help them through that mentally. Like we keep talking about it, right? But they have to get their mind right. I tell them, I'm going to allow you 24 hours right now to really be really, really sad. But tomorrow you're going to come back and we're going to start this rehab process. We're going to get going. And, of course, you may break down later on, and it's okay. But at the same time, we need to tackle this, in this rehab. So I've always liked that part of the job, being able to kind of help these kids through, getting the appointment set up for surgeries, the rehabilitation, doing rehab with me, sending you to physical therapy, and then getting them back on the field and getting that, that first hug that they give you after they're able to come back and play at a high level. But then, recently, the last maybe like 10 years now, maybe 8 to 10 years, for me, a lot of it and the motivation that I get is from my students, my athletic training students who learn from me. They move on, they get their degree, they become athletic trainers, and we become colleagues. I mean, it even gives me the chills every time I talk about it, because it's such a good experience. Seeing, I show them everything that I have, everything that I learned, why I really do love this profession, and then they turn around and they repay me, I guess, in a sense, by moving on and becoming certified athletic trainer, and loving the profession as much as I do.
yeah, I think I would just have to agree with Juan. It goes back to the best part of my job is the relationships that you have, like with your student athletes, showing them that you care, being there for them, whether it's your student athlete or even those great aha moments that we have with our students. The relationships is really where it is. And I mean, I do have to do a small plug. It's nice to work at Fullerton College because we do have successful teams. Don't get me wrong. I think state championships are great memories. I think that conference championships are great memories, but it's not about like that trophy or that ring or whatever. It's looking around and seeing what those student athletes had to do to get to that. The long hours that they put in, like knowing that our student athletes work so much. Yeah, they're working. Yeah, that's a nice one. That's a nice ring. I got a couple of them. Um, you know, what it takes for our student athletes at the community college level to be successful goes far beyond the hours that they spend at practice. It's the hours that like they have to do their homework, they have jobs, they have to help out with their families. All of the things that go into it. Looking around that state championship, it's not about what trophies or anything that we're holding up. It's about the perseverance of our student athletes, and what I love about my job is I get to do something different every single day that I go to work. It's unpredictable. My job is unpredictable. I could sit and I could watch a practice or do a couple of things, no big deal. Or somebody could come in and they're have a dislocated shoulder. We could have like some kind of emergency. You never know what's going to go on in the job, but the unpredictability and basically knowing that I'm making a difference. Like I walk home and I know that I'm making a difference with my personality and being at the community college. I know I can make a difference. And if we really think about it, what Juan and I miss the most right now is not like the games. It's those connections. It's those relationships. It's feeling like you're doing something for the greater good, and sitting at home does not feel good to either one of us. And we've talked so many times how much we miss our student athletes, really.
Well, we've been fortunate at sportsnetusa.net, Corey and I, doing it for 18 years. And we have said more than once, when we see either one of you down on the field, if we were doing radio or on camera, we both believe, Corey and I, we both believe we have the best athletic trainers in California. We've said that more than once, and we want to thank both of you because we think you're fantastic. So now I need a little inside here from both of you, because Corey and Neyland will tell you that Mark Pavlovich always asks that question that makes people uncomfortable. So here it is.
I told you had a question for you guys. I told you.
Here it is.
Yeah, you
Here
did warn us. You gave us a warning.
First of all, which group of athletes are the biggest crybabies, and who is tougher, the female athlete or the male athlete? Both of you need to answer this because I figure I know which one's the biggest crybaby. And Corey will always tell you who I think the best athletes are around on the field, so I know which side probably cries first. And yeah, if tears are shown, it's okay to say the guys cry. That's okay. I've been to enough football practices, so I already have an opinion made up. All right,
Yeah,
I
think I'll go first. I'll go first, LT. Right automatically you think football is the biggest weenies, but actually, you know what? The men's basketball team, Coach Perry Webster is not going to like this, but the men's basketball team, they're a bunch of weenies. Yeah,
They
definitely
just like to complain.
Yes. Yeah, and then definitely the toughest of women by far. Those girls our women's teams across the board. They're tough as nails. I love
Water
those
polo,
girls.
women's water polo, hard as nails. Gabriel Martinez,
Yeah.
he doesn't recruit you if you can't handle it. And I think my women's water polo team is the toughest. And at times I have to remind them that it's okay. It's okay to like acknowledge that you're hurt. You're like, no. But they're definitely the toughest. And men's basketball team, they can get through adversity, but they'll definitely complain about it throughout the whole entire thing. And I don't work football all that often. I don't work football all that often, but yeah, there's definitely some big babies, big babies on that, on that team. But I think, yeah.
I got one more question then, and then Corey, you can get rid of me the rest of the night. Which coach looks at you and says, "Oh, come on, they're not really hurt. They're not really hurt. You've already ratted out to everybody else, so we might as well just do this right and get everybody out at the same time."
That's a good question. Who was the one that Tim Burns was like that. He's no longer a head football coach, but he was pretty good about. He's fine.
Yeah, I think overall, most of our coaches, when Juan and I approach them and tell them like, "Hey, what's going on?" They're like, "Yeah, but like, is it really that bad?" Like, I think all of our coaches challenge us in some way or another, and I think it's the competitive nature in them. I can't tell you that there is one coach that I don't feel like respects me though. So they're all going to give me a little bit of crap. Regardless of male, female, sport, or male and female like coach, it's always going to try to be like a negotiation. I've had the conversations with Speedy, with Pam, with Gabe, with Greg, Perry, Marcia. Yeah, I pretty much every single coach is going to try to push you a little bit. But at the end of the day, I don't think I've ever felt like any of our coaches are disrespecting what we think. They might not like what we say, but they're at least like respectful. And that isn't the political spiel. I really do believe that. And if they ever did have a problem, they have to deal with Scott Giles, and you don't mess with that guy.
No,
Corey,
we talked to Scott.
Corey, the thing that's interesting. If you're on the sideline of a soccer game and Lorena's standing there next to you, if you're one of the broadcasters on 90.1 KBPK, you should know something about soccer because she's going to correct those young guys more than once and turn around and look at them and go, "What are you talking about?" And the thing it is, I watch Juan over the sidelines during football games. I wonder how many times the coach part of Juan comes out when something happens on the field and goes, "Why'd they do that?" Because I'll watch Juan walk up to the sidelines, just stare at the field, and you can get that feeling from Juan. It's like, why'd they do that? So it's very interesting. And again, I'm going to reiterate it one more time before I go away. These are two of the more professional, fun-loving, people that love their professions, people who truly care about the student athletes. And that's why I love you two. Not only do you love your profession,
Thank you.
but I've been on the field with both of you and watched how you treat student athletes. And it's like it's a family member. And if I was a parent, I'd want to drop my kids' safety into both your hands and say, hey, I got nothing to worry about. So let me thank you right now. You two are the best in California. And I tell you what, if anybody ever says anything different, it better not be on the air live, Corey Neyland, because it'll be the last time I'm on SportsNetUSA.net.
Yeah, no,
Thank
it's
you, Mark.
truly
Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and we really truly believe that because we, like you said, we've been around for almost 20 years, and for our 20 years, you two are the best. So, with that, what do you two want to leave us with? Either a statement or something that you're looking forward to, or how we get past COVID to make that better while we're in it, or what do you want to leave us with?
For me, it's more of a, I can't wait to get back. Lorena's and the athletic trainers all over this have been working really hard to try to get these protocols passed and approved and all that. We have a big meeting tomorrow as well. And just I can't wait to get back. So for sure, I want to be back with my athletes. I want to be back in my office. I want to be, on the sidelines again, and to be part of that again. And like Lorena said, I want to feel like I'm making an impact with my with my guys and my female athletes as well.
Yeah, I know that when we come back, it's not going to look anything like what like the landscape has been before. But it's going to be a start, and just being able to, at first I'm not going to be able to like hug my athletes or, we got to keep social distance, but really I cannot wait. As much as we're trying to push it and everything, like it is going to be like a safety thing. We're not going to push, but once we come back, man, I mean, I devoted my life to being an athletic trainer, and I still believe that it's the profession for me. So I just can't get back. I can't wait to get back to like what I love. And I know it's not gonna be the same and everything. But overall, I think we're doing the right thing, and I just hope for everybody to get safely out of this because it's been so unpredictable lately.
Yeah, it has. And again, we want to thank you because as long as we've been around you at the games and at practices, I think I've learned more in this like 50 minutes about athletic training and more about you two as well as individuals than we have in all the years that we've been around because we actually, got to talk and delve into things. So thank you both for joining us tonight. Juan Cuevas,
of course, thank
you.
Lorena Tarnay.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. All right. For Mark Pavlovich, I am Corey Neyland. For Ed Ford, getting us up on the air. Thank you very much for watching, and you have been watching. You have been watching this show on SportsNetUSA.net.